Good morning, everybody. I'm G2 Jake, and welcome to another story time episode. Last time I did one of these, last week probably, we gave you the backstory to the albatross creation. And on that video, so many of you commented about how you wanted to know about the origins of G2, basically. Not just the first yo-yo, but how we started. And that's the story I'm going to tell you today. So, a while back, probably like 7 or 8 years now, I had a job doing maintenance at a church-school. It was a church, but during the week they had daycare and preschool there. Some of you guys might remember this place. A lot of my first videos were filmed there. When we created this YouTube account, G2 Pictures, it was me and my buddy Clint Grogan. He was the film guy, I was the yo-yoer. We created G2 Pictures, G Squared Pictures, whatever you wanted to call it, but that was way back then. But if you do remember those, that is the place that really started it all for G2. So you probably remember those videos of me yo-yoing. You probably remember the weekly G2 updates that I filmed there. And that was a great job. I had a lot of downtime at that job though. And during that downtime, I always struggled with things to do. You could only play so many games on your phone, listen to so much music, sit there for so long. When I say downtime, I'm talking downtime. I would be there for 7 or 8 hours a day, and if we did it correctly, we could get all of our work done in about an hour and a half. So, a lot of downtime. One day I'm cleaning out my closet, I found my old school yo-yos from way back when that I had in middle school or elementary school, whenever that was. And I took it to work with me. I think it was a clear one. It had the little Saturn on the side, Spintastics or a Super Yo, I think. Super Yo. I can't remember exactly. Unfortunately, I sold it. I'm still annoyed by that. I've got to find a new one on eBay to replace that. But back to the story. I found those yo-yos, went to work with them. I'm messing around. I'm doing some looping stuff. I'm doing rock the baby, palm up. And I'm like, oh, let me see what other tricks I can do, you know, now that I've got a phone with internet and YouTube. And that was when the mind, you know, I see all these unresponsive tricks and just completely different style of play. Boom, sucked me right in. Ordered a yo-yo that night from Yo-Yo Expert and was on my way. I believe I got the Speed Maker. Yes, I did, because I've been looking for a blue one. If you have a blue one, hit me up. Also sold that one and shouldn't have. But that's where it all started as far as that aspect. That's really what sucked me back into yo-yoing. And eventually, I found this site, highspeedyoyo.com. And at the time it was just reviews. No, there was some high-speed stuff. There was some slow motion stuff. It wasn't quite tutorials. It's still up, but it was high speed. It was slow motion breakdowns of tricks, so you could see what was happening. And it just so happened that Chris, the reviewer, and Brett also did reviews, but mostly did the filming. They both live in Ohio. And that is what kick-started into a lot more yo-yoing. I would go up to Cleveland, Independence area, about an hour from my house, to hang out with Brett. I forget how I found out he was in Ohio or lived close, and I forget how we hooked up the first time to hang out, play yo-yo, and that kind of deal. Eventually that turned into me going up there and we would paint yo-yos. You guys might have, he did a lot more than I did. I only dabbled, maybe I might have 10 or 20 paint jobs out there. And slowly but surely we formed this relationship. I was going up there about every week to yo-yo, paint yo-yos, hang out, make videos, film reviews, film the high-speed breakdowns, all kinds of stuff. Just having a blast, just yo-yoing and everything. And making the Jake and the Fat Man videos that you guys might have seen. But eventually, and this was while Brett was a sponsored player by OneDrop. Eventually, it turned into, we had that idea of the Albatross, and him being on OneDrop, he reached out to David and Sean and said, would you guys be willing to make something for us? And they said yes. So we had the in because he was sponsored by OneDrop, and at that point they weren't doing a bunch of everybody's yo-yos like they do now. They don't do a lot now. They just do larger volume now than just letting anybody stop in. They want you to have a long-term game plan if they're gonna machine your yo-yos, not just a one-and-done run at this point, I believe. But back to our story, and that was when it really kind of took off. Like, hey, we do have this option to make yo-yos if we want. They will machine them for us. Is that something we want to look into? And it evolved into yes. And I took I think I've told you guys this story before. I took my life savings, invested it in the Albatross, and eventually we got to this point. There was definitely some bumps around the road. Right when we announced, we had a lawsuit threatened against us. That's a different story for a different time, different place, probably a different platform. Along with, the falling out, which is also, a falling out. I don't really know what to call it. Brett's completely out of yo-yo at this point. It just didn't work out between us, and we can get into that different story for a different place and a different time. But eventually, after a couple years, after the two yo-yos, the Albatross and the Nessie, I bought Brett out and have just kind of continued it from there. And this is where we've gotten to today. So that was the origins for the backstory of G Squared Yo-Yos. That is what it is. And I'll see you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday morning.